The air in the kitchen felt wrong, like it had thickened into something I could choke on. Maria stood by the sink, her back to me, scrubbing a plate with a ferocity that made the sponge squeak. I just said the words, "Maria, we need to talk," and they hung there, heavy, like a storm cloud waiting to break. Her shoulders stiffened, but she didn't turn. The faucet hissed, a relentless drone, and I wondered if she was pretending not to hear me, or if she was just buying time. For months, I'd felt it, something off, like a song played just a note too sharp. The way she'd linger on her phone, her thumb flicking across the screen in the dark of our bedroom. The way her laughter, once warm as summer rain, had turned brittle, reserved for someone I couldn't see. I told myself it was nothing. Stress from her job at the gallery, maybe. Or the weight of 10 years married, the monotony of routine. But tonight, standing in our too-quiet kitchen, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was staring at a stranger wearing my wife's skin. "Maria," I said again, my voice low, almost pleading. "Please, look at me." She shut off the faucet. The silence was worse than the noise. Slowly she turned, her dark eyes catching the dim glow of the overhead light. Her face was a mask, calm, but too calm, like the surface of a lake hiding a current that could pull you under. "What's wrong, David?" she asked, her tone soft but edged with something I couldn't name. Defiance, maybe. Or fear. I swallowed, my throat dry. "You've been distant. For months. I don't know what's going on, but I can't keep pretending it's fine. You don't touch me anymore. You barely look at me. I need to know why." Her lips parted, just slightly, and for a moment, I thought she'd laugh it off, like she did when I asked about the late nights at the gallery or the new perfume that clung to her clothes, sharp and unfamiliar. Instead, she crossed her arms, leaning against the counter. "You're imagining things," she said, but her voice wavered, a crack in her armor. "I'm just tired, David. Work's been hell." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the words felt rehearsed, like lines from a script she'd practiced in her head. I stepped closer, the linoleum cold under my bare feet. "Don't lie to me," I said, quieter now, my heart pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. "I found the messages." Her eyes widened, just for a second, before she caught herself. "What messages?" she asked, but her voice was too steady now, like she was forcing it to stay even. "On your phone. Last night, when you left it on the counter. I wasn't snooping, Maria, I swear." It lit up, and I saw his name. Ethan. Over and over. "Meet me at the loft." "Miss you." "You didn't even try to hide it." The kitchen seemed to shrink, the walls pressing in. Maria's face changed. Not guilt, not yet, but something closer to resignation. She uncrossed her arms, her hands gripping the edge of the counter behind her. "You went through my phone?" she asked, her voice sharp now, slicing through the air. "I didn't mean to," I said, my hands shaking. "But I'm not the one who's been lying." "Who's Ethan, Maria? Tell me." She looked away, her gaze drifting to the window above the sink, where the streetlight cast a pale glow across the lawn. The silence stretched, unbearable. And I felt it, the moment the ground beneath my life started to crumble. "He's a friend," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "From the gallery." "A friend?" I laughed, but it came out wrong, jagged and bitter. "Friends don't text you at midnight, Maria. Friends don't make you smile at your phone like you're 16 again. Friends don't make you pull away from your husband." Her eyes snapped back to mine, and for the first time, I saw something raw there, guilt, yes, but also anger. "You don't get to do this, David," she said, her voice rising. "You don't get to play the victim when you've been checked out for years. When was the last time you asked me how I felt? When was the last time you noticed me?" Her words hit like a slap, and I stumbled back, my hip brushing the edge of the table. "That's not fair," I said, but my voice cracked, betraying me. Had I been distant? I thought of the late nights at the office, the way I'd stopped asking about her day, because I assumed she'd tell me if something mattered. But this wasn't my fault. "You're turning this on me? You're the one sneaking around with some guy, Maria. Don't make this about me." She shook her head, her dark hair falling across her face. "It's not about him," she said, softer now, almost broken. "It's about us. Or what's left of us. I didn't mean for this to happen, David. I didn't." Then why? I asked, my voice raw, my chest tight with the weight of it all. Why him? Why now? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she moved to the table, pulling out a chair and sinking into it like her legs couldn't hold her anymore. Her hands rested on the table, fingers twisting together, and I noticed her wedding ring, still there, glinting faintly in the light. Ethan, he listens, she said finally, her voice so quiet I had to strain to hear her. He sees me. Not the wife, not the mother, not the woman who's supposed to have it all together. Just me. I felt the air leave my lungs, like I'd been punched. And I don't. I asked, my voice barely holding together. I've loved you for 10 years, Maria. I've built a life with you. And you're telling me some guy from the gallery sees you better than I do. Tears welled in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. You used to, she said. But somewhere along the way, you stopped. And I was lonely, David. So lonely I didn't know how to breathe. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see how much she was breaking me. But I couldn't move. I just stood there, staring at the woman I thought I knew, the woman I'd promised forever to. The kitchen clock ticked, each second a hammer against my skull. Are you in love with him? I asked, the question burning my throat. She looked at me then, really looked at me, and the answer was in her eyes before she spoke. I don't know, she whispered. I don't know what I feel anymore. The room spun, and I gripped the back of a chair to steady myself. I wanted to ask more, when it started, how far it went, if she'd ever planned to tell me, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, I saw flashes of our life together. Her laugh at our wedding, the way she'd curl into me on cold mornings, the ultrasound of our daughter, Sophie, who was sleeping upstairs. And now this. Ethan. A name that would haunt me forever. I'm sorry, Maria said, her voice breaking. I didn't want to hurt you. But she had. And as I stood there, the kitchen closing in around me, I realized the truth. The betrayal wasn't just Ethan. It was the years we'd let slip, the silences we'd ignored, the love we'd taken for granted. I looked at her, my wife, my stranger, and said the only thing I could. I don't know how to fix this. She nodded, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. Neither do I. And in that moment I knew, we were already gone.